Welcome to Breaking the Line, the ECNL podcast, a bi-weekly look at all things related to the growing elite clubs nationally, the ECNL. For more information on the ECNL, visit us at www.theecnl.com. Now, here's your host for Breaking the Line, the ECNL podcast, former U.S. Soccer press officer and longtime soccer broadcaster, Dean Linke.
I am Dean Linke, and this is episode 4 of Breaking the Line, the ECNL podcast, and I am joined as always by Christian Lavers, the president and CEO of the ECNL. And for this episode, the guest is so big, we're going to spend time with just one man, Vlatko Andonovski, the head coach of the U.S. women's national team. And we do it on the 1-year anniversary of him being named the head coach of the U.S. women's national team. That's right. On October 28th, 2019, Vlatko Andonovski was named the 9th head coach in U.S. women's national team history. Vlatko came to U.S. Soccer after spending 7 years as a head coach in the National Women's Soccer League, 5 with FC Kansas City and 2 with Reign FC. He led FC Kansas City to back-to-back NWSL titles in 2014 and 15, and he was a 2-time NWSL Coach of the Year. He was born in Macedonia and played pro over there before coming to the United States to also play pro, especially indoor. During his time in Kansas City, he also worked in youth club soccer, winning 4 Missouri State championships and a girls' U.S. Youth Soccer National League title. He was also head coach for the Girls Olympic Development Program in Missouri for 2 years. He holds a U.S. Soccer A license, a United Soccer Coaches goalkeeping license, and a United Soccer Coaches Premier license, and he also completed the U.S. Soccer Pro license course. Coach Andonovski is a 2008 graduate of Park University with a Bachelor of Arts degree in Business Administration Management, and he earned a master's degree in coaching education with a soccer track from Ohio University in 2018. He answers all of our questions, led by the great Christian Lavers, and he does it after this message from the ECNL.
With over 200 clubs and nearly 50,000 players, the ECNL is leading youth soccer forward in the United States. A new season has kicked off and a new brand identity has been launched, but one thing stays constant. The ECNL is more than a league.
Welcome back to Breaking the Line, the ECNL podcast. As you just heard, we're going to go wall to wall with the new and talented head coach of the U.S. women's national team, Vlatko Andonovski. You just heard his incredible resume. We're going to dive in a little bit more. Such a treat to have Vlatko on the entire show, as he is good friends with Christian Lavers, the president and CEO of the ECNL. So with that, I'll turn it over to Mr. Lavers to get the interview going with Vlatko Andonovski. Take it over, Christian.
Vlatko, thank you so much for being here. We're really excited to talk to you, and I know there's going to be a lot of coaches and players within our league and just youth soccer generally that are excited to hear your thoughts. So thanks for coming on today.
Thank you very much for having me, Christian. I'm very excited to be here and have the opportunity to talk to you about soccer in general, youth, senior, national teams, everything.
Well, let's just start with what a road that you've traveled to get here. And I think if we went back 5 years or even longer, it would be hard for you to imagine that this would be where you're sitting today. So can you talk a little bit about the path that you took, and when this job became a reality for you, what were some of the thoughts that went through your head when you looked back at your coaching career?
I mean, there were a lot of things that came through my mind. You know, you're saying 5 years ago, but even 2-3 years ago, I don't know if this ever crossed my mind, because I never really felt like I was ready until a few years ago. And I wanted to be ready. You know, I wanted to get better and be prepared and be ready. So when the opportunity presents itself, I'm ready for it. But if we go back to when I started as a coach, I mean, I literally started with 6 years old girls in recreational soccer. That was my beginning. It was, I come from the trenches. I did everything, whether it's U6, U7, U8, recreational soccer, and 9 and 10s, and older players, high school players, and I did junior college, I did NAIA college, I did semi-pro team, professional team, and came to the national team. Not many people probably know my background and where I come from, or not many people have gone through the same pathway. Most of the times you see a college coach coaching at high level, or player that played MLS or Europe, and then they get a job. I'm just proud, and I'm proud of the fact that I coached 6 years old and 8 and 10 and 12 and in every possible level. And like I said in the previous questions, it helps. I mean, I know what it takes to develop someone that they can cross the ball or can use their weak foot. The players that are on the national team, they crave development. They crave getting better. And sometimes it's as simple as that, like little things that I've done with 12 years old. I have to do it with the national team, not because they play like that. It's because there's certain little piece of their game that has never been developed. So it has helped me, and I'm thankful for that.
I was struck, even just with coaching in the NWSL, how much of the teaching process is the same, right? With youth versus the pros, and there's a slightly different context, and there's some wrinkles, but so much is the same that I think it's good for every coach to kind of see. But one thing I would say that's unique to your path, and I remember, I'll throw a name, a throwback here, when Mike Makovich, who was the director of the Chicago Magic, when he first got into MLS, he was like the first youth coach that had gone from all the way down and coaching youth soccer all the way up to the top in men's professional soccer. And it was sort of one of those things, it's a trailblazing look, and everybody looked and said, holy cow, you can do it. And I think for you to have gone the same way from the youth game up to the very top of the women's game is going to be inspirational to a lot of coaches who start coaching because they love the sport and they love to help players, and they're not sure where it's going to take them. But I think your pathway shows that it can take you anywhere if you're a good person and do good work. So I think that's awesome.
Thank you. No, I hope it's inspirational. And I hope that everybody sees that there is a way. Obviously, you have to commit yourself. You have to work hard. You got to do the right thing for the players, and you gotta focus on bettering the players as people, as person, and as players as well. So I hope everybody sees it, and wish them all the best.
I don't think anyone could say you haven't earned your spurs with all of that. It's a pretty good preparation, I would think, because you go from seeing kids at the very first time they're kicking a ball and just the joy of the sport to spending so much time. And I know you spent such a long period of time with youth kids in club soccer where they're really doing the predominance of their learning.
Yes. And to be quite honest, I'm very proud of the whole pathway. I'm proud of the fact that I know how U6 and 7s and 8s operate and how they see the game. And I know how younger soccer players operate, and I know how college players operate and how they see the game. And I've been fortunate enough in the last 7 years to work with professional players and world-class players that helped me understand how the world-class players operate. So every piece of my pathway, every piece of my coaching career contributed in some way to my, expertise right now.
It's pretty unique. So I've had the opportunity to coach against you in youth soccer in the ECNL when you were coaching with Kansas City. I had the opportunity to lose multiple times against you in the NWSL when I was with Chicago and you were with Kansas City running the table across the NWSL. I've seen you in all these different roles, and I can't say enough about your demeanor, about the way you conduct yourself, and talk a little bit about the culture that you like to have with the teams that you coach and the way that you want your teams to play. Just talk about some of that bigger 10,000-foot perspective about what a Vlatko team looks like.
It's interesting, and like you said, we've coached against each other in the ECNL when I was a youth coach, and even though the environments are different than the professional, but the culture that I was trying to build is not any different. It was built on the same principles, on the same ideals, on the same views and values. Every environment that I've been into, I always try to build this family type environment, where everybody knows what they're doing without being told, where environment where everybody is valued and believes and knows that they're valued. I mean, the principles that we build at that environment, the family type environment, are trust, respect, hard work, discipline, and commitment. We talk a lot about trust and trusting, first and foremost, trusting ourselves and our abilities and what we do and contribute for the environment, and then trusting the teammate, trusting your staff member, trusting the process. Just have belief and trust in the process that we have. Then the other one I said is respect. Respect is something that that has to be there. Respecting each other, respecting the staff, respecting the game, respecting the opponents, the referees, the fans. The respect is always a big factor in our environment, or big principle that we based our culture on. The next one is hard work. I mean, even though I'm coming from Macedonia, I consider myself a Midwestern. Being here for 20 years, hard work, the blue collar mentality is always there. But it's not just Midwest. This country is built on hard work and dedication. The hard work is always there for us, and the discipline of being a true pro now, when we're talking about professionals, but discipline of doing what it takes to be in the game, to dedicate yourself to the game, the discipline of following through with your task and helping the players follow through with their task is another principle. And the last one is commitment. Commitment is a little bit of a sketchy one, and it's a little bit different for the younger ages than for the professionals or world-class players. And the biggest disconnect with commitment we have is when the younger players become professionals. The reason why I'm saying is a little disconnect is, or where they get it wrong, in my opinion, is they confuse the commitment with motivation. They become professional players and they feel like they made it. This is it. And hey, the coach asked me to come to camp or to come to training. I come to training. You asked me to be there at 10 o'clock. I'm there at 10 o'clock. You asked me to train. I train. Or you asked me to lift. I go and lift. Okay, and that's not commitment for me. That's motivation. All those young players are motivated by the fact that they're professionals and they make living being professionals. Where a true commitment, and you'll see with, you've seen it with some of these players that you've worked with on the Red Star. They're committed to being the best version of themselves every time when they step on the field and off the field. Like everything they do, okay, they commit themselves to be the best that they can be, or the best version that they can be. They're not okay with just being there. They're not okay with being good, okay, or good enough. They want to be the best, and that's the only one that I feel like it differs a little bit from younger ages to when they come true professionals. But going back to the cultures that I've always trying to build, I mean, those are the principles that we stick to, and whether it's a national team, whether it's Kansas City team or Seattle or youth soccer.
No, it's interesting you say that, and it brings to mind kind of a cliche that amateurs train until they get it right and professionals train until they can't get it wrong, right? And that's kind of what you're talking about that.
Yes, exactly. They don't accept being okay or doing it right or doing it good enough. Okay, it has to be the best.
You set some standards in the NWSL with your time with FC Kansas City and then moving into the Seattle Reign. And when you take over with the national team, they had a bit of success in the last couple of years, as you know. So you're walking into an environment which is pretty intimidating in some regards, but at the same time, and I think I and a lot of people, when the job came open, it was like this was Vlatko's job. And I don't say that with the benefit of 2020. I say that, and you can quote me with a lot of people. I said, well, Vlatko's obviously the one who's going to get this job. But when you walk into that training session for the camp the first time with a team that is, two-time world champions, but was very excited to have you. I mean, I think it was the most popular hire in the history of women's soccer based on Twitter responses. What was that first camp like, that first meeting? How did you approach the team?
So the thing is, first, what this team has done, and Jill Ellis and the coaching staff, I think it's remarkable. I think it's a great job. I mean, back-to-back World Cup champions. It's something that deserves so much praise and respect. But one thing about this team, and what I learned very, very quick about this team, is that they enjoy it, they love it, they were as successful as they were, but they don't want to stop there. Okay, and that's what makes them special. Like, we come there when I first came there, and we had a conversation. Every single one of them is looking forward for the next one. Okay, yeah, they loved it. They loved every bit of it. Winning 2019 and 2015 and victory tours and all that. It was like, okay, we got to take care of the Olympics now. All right, let's go. Let's do this. That's their mentality. So the very first time I walked into it, you're right. It's intimidating. I mean, you are in front of the best team in the world and some of the best players, if not the best players in the world. So what is intimidating is not necessarily intimidating. It's just the pressure of doing everything right. Like, they know this game inside and out. They're so educated. They're so analytical that you have to be at your best. We're talking about players being at their best, coaching staff, and not just coaching staff, the whole supporting staff has to be at their best at every moment, at every time, at everything that they do, and nothing else is accepted there. So that's the culture that's been created there. That's the culture that's been created since 30 years ago. That's not something that was created in the last year or two. Like, that's that's the culture that 91s created, or 99ers created, and 2015s and 19s, and everybody that's gone through has created this culture that nothing else except the best it's accepted. And I'm not talking about the players. I'm talking coaching staff, supporting staff, whether it's medical, media, analytics, high performance. Everybody has to be at their best, and it shows. It showed in the first meeting, but even in the first practice, I'll tell you something. The first practice finishes, right, so we go back into meeting room later on before dinner to have the recap of the session. And in between, I'm watching the session to recap it so I can present it to the players. And I turn towards one of the coaches and I say, is it me, or this was a little too intense, a little too competitive? And Milan was next to me, and he goes, I thought that was crazy competitive. So I go into the meeting now and I say, hey, ladies, here's what we see here, this and this. And like I said, I want to say something, but tell me if you feel like that was a little too intense, like it was a little, at times, a little hectic. And everybody's kind of smiling, laughing a little bit. I said, am I missing something? Or you guys don't agree with it? And one of the players says, Coach, just wait until January and you'll see it goes to another level. And, for me, I was like, why? What is it? So, it was a November camp. It was right after NWSL. It was after winning World Cup, after the victory tour. So the players were physically exhausted, mentally exhausted. So they were tired, and they were at the level that I've never seen before. So when they said wait until January, okay, they have this 6 week period of when they have rest, and January is when they kick it back up and getting ready for the Olympics. And I'll tell you what, that January camp was fun. That was fun.
That was fun, and this is fun. Christian Lavers, the CEO and president of the ECNL, able to book Vlatko Andonovski, the new head coach of the U.S. women's national team, right here on episode 4 of Breaking the Line, the ECNL podcast. And we have more with Vlatko after these messages from our special sponsors of the ECNL.
ECNL Boys is partnering with Puma for the second year, driving sport forward with the leading products and the next generation of pros who wear them. Puma has proven themselves as the fastest sports brand in the world, the fastest innovation, the fastest players, and the fastest products in the game. They're the perfect partner to complement the speed and talent of our teams. In keeping with their mantra of forever faster, Puma introduces the world's fastest boot, the Ultra. The only boot engineered for speed, the Ultra combines a woven upper with a lightweight outsole for direct forward motion, speed, and acceleration. It's the best in the game, designed for the best players in the game. From athletes just starting to turn heads to some of the best athletes to ever play their games, Gatorade shows that they are the proven fuel of the best. For the athletes who give everything, nothing beats Gatorade, the studied, tested, and proven fuel of the ECNL.
Welcome back to Breaking the Line, the ECNL podcast, episode 4, dedicating the entire show to Vlatko Andonovski, the new head coach of the U.S. women's national team, who's got such a great relationship with Christian Lavers, the president and CEO of the ECNL. Before the break, Christian Lavers, some great questions. One of the things he talked about is how well Vlatko gets along with the players. And Vlatko, for sure, it has been rumored, there's been stories written about you being a player's coach. What does that mean for you to be described as a player's coach? Because it's true, like Christian said, it seemed like when you were named the head coach, every player was pretty excited about it.
I mean, obviously, it's good, makes you feel good, and I want to be a player's coach. You know, I want to first and foremost. Obviously, I was a player, so I know what it took to be a player, and I want to be there for them. I want to help them out. I want to help them out throughout their career, achieving their best. For me as a coach, when I step on the field or when I step in that environment or any environment, I want them to be good people, and with that, I want them to be good soccer players. So you look at all our environments that I coached in. Before anything else, before saying that we had a good team or good players or good individuals, we had good people, and I was blessed with some great individuals throughout my career. To work with some great individuals throughout my career, starting from Kansas City, we had Lauren Cheney and Becky and A-Rod. Nicole Barnhart, Heather O'Reilly. I mean, that's a group that everybody will love to work with. And then you go to Seattle, same thing. Great group to work with. So it's just exciting. It's not just me that does the work in this relationship between the player and coaches. It's the players themselves that are good people and caring people.
As this show airs, you will have just been wrapping up your camp with 27 players, and the list was so impressive because when you took the job, you said that you were going to cast a wide net, and you've done exactly that. What did you want to get out of this camp with 27 players?
First, I'm excited to be in camp, and after 7 months and some, being back in camp is just exciting, and I'm looking forward to it. But now, 27 players. If you look at the players, we split them in 3 subgroups, and the first subgroup is what I would call regulars, or players that have been in camp or have been with the national team for a long time. They have so many caps. Becky and Kelly, Crystal, Lindsay, Ali, Ash. Alisa, so that's the first group. Then the next group is the players that have performed well or earned this call up through NWSL and had good performances in the Fall Series, Challenge Cup, or even some in the previous year in NWSL. And then the third group is the ones that have done well with the youth national teams, whether it's under 23 or under 20s. So when we mix all these 3 groups together, there is this agenda that we're trying, or plan that we're trying to achieve, where first we remind some of the regulars, some of the players that have been around for the previous camps, and remind what we've done and help them move forward. And then the next groups are more evaluative and see how they're gonna fit into what we're trying to do. And then the third group is evaluative, more so how they're gonna fit in this environment on a long term.
Vlatko, you can be the most caring coach ever. You can be the ultimate players coach. You can have those great eyes that the players like, but I do not envy you as you think about the Olympics. Let's hope we get through COVID. But you're going to go from 23 players, right, with 20 field players to 18 players with 16 field players. Anywhere you slice it, Vlatko, there's going to be heartbreak and there's going to be some agony. I do not envy that day. I got to believe you're already thinking about the fact that there will indeed be some major heartbreak.
Heartbreak happens every time when you select a roster, whether you go from 26 to 23 or 23 to 18, or regardless of what the numbers are, there's always going to be a heartbreak. And I mean, I feel bad, and that's the part of the job that I don't that I'm not looking forward to when I have to announce or have the conversation with the players. But it is part of the job, and I do it with a little bit, with a little bit of sadness, but it's a competitive environment, and we got to do what we got to do to create the best possible team that we can.
My last question, I'll turn it back over to Christian Lavers. I thought it was pretty neat when you got your citizenship in 2015, but dare I say, I think it's even more neat that Katerina Macario now has her U.S. citizenship. She is the real deal, Coach. I know she's got to get FIFA approval, but how exciting is that?
I mean, I'm very excited. First, I'm very happy for her. I've gone through the same process that she has gone through, and I know it's a long, tiring, and mentally exhausting process. But I'm glad that she got over it, and I'm very happy for her that she's ready to take a new chapter in her life. But also the fact that now she's eligible to play for the U.S. Women's National Team makes me more excited because, like you said, she's a great player. I mean, anyone that's seen Katerina play in college knows the talent that she has. She can score goals. She can create opportunities for other players. She has a flair that is just makes this game more exciting, more interesting, and I'm excited for it and looking forward to see her in camp and looking forward to see her in the future, because as good as she is in college game, not always that translates on the international level. Do I believe that she can be one of the best players in the world? Yes, absolutely. But it will take a little bit of time, and I don't want to jump ahead of anything. I wanted to take every step in order and achieve her dreams.
I'm going to use that as a segue, Vlatko, because I know the connection with the youth teams is really important to you, and part of your vision for this program is having a connection, a real connection, not just in name and brand and not just with an appearance here and there, but a real connection developmentally between the youth national teams and the full national team, and partially including your vision of that. So can you talk through a little bit of how you see that relationship and how you see that best functioning?
Yes. When I first got the job, even in my interview, one of my presentation was one nation, one team, one staff, and I just used the youth soccer slogan, one nation, one team, but I added one staff because I feel like the federation. In the federation, whether you're coach for the U14 or U20 or U.S. Women's National Team, the senior team, okay, we're all here for one thing, okay? Prepare the team, develop the players from the younger ages to the senior team, so we can so they can be the best that they can be and create the best possible national team that we can create. So in order to do that, we have to work together because we can't have one coach do one thing, or have one vision and another coach have another vision, and myself have a different vision. And even with the federation, as a federation, I have a different vision. And I think that so far, first starting from the federation, I've done a tremendous job in establishing the core values and principles for the federation, which furthermore helps me establishing the values and the principles for the team, and then going down to the U23s, 2017s, and the 15s. In this pandemic, unfortunate that we're not on the field or haven't had time to play games or trainings, but we've had plenty of times to do things that probably would not have if everything was normal. And in this time, we've had numerous meetings. I mean, several weekly meetings, several meetings a week in standardizing and unifying everything from the younger ages all the way to the national team. And I'm talking about style of play, so that the game idea, the team tactical principle or the game model, the positional profiles for every player, the different tactical situations, regardless of the phase of the game. So all of this was done and was not just presented, was done collaboratively with the youth national team staff. So everybody was included, and everything that we developed, everything that I personally did with the senior team, the youth national team coaches did it with the youth teams, but even myself personally, I was able to present some of that for the youth national team players. So this whole time, this whole process has been a long process, and it's just the beginning, because all of this is just on the computer in the office. Now everything has to be implemented on the field, and we're going to start doing it as soon as we step on the field.
I think that's really, really important, and your background plays to it so well, because you have coached at so many different ages, and obviously in both genders as well. But talk about a little bit when you look at, take the emotional side of the player. There's a big difference between a player 16 years old, a young professional, as you mentioned, a seasoned professional, in the way that they deal with all sorts of different things. And one of those, I think, is even the pressure of coming into a new team, or coming from a club environment into a national team environment, and then going back to a club environment. And obviously you manage that at a club level, you manage it in a professional level with draft picks coming in and melding, and now you're managing it at an international level, with young players like Caterina Macario coming in for her first appearance, but then you've also got people who have, won multiple world championships. So how do you deal with the emotional side of players of different age groups and different phases of their life?
It's not easy, and it seems like it becomes a little bit bigger problem than it used to be, and it is a stressful situation, as you said, regardless of what the environment, whether it's a youth club to a youth national team, or even a draft to a national team. But it's something that coaches need to understand, that those players are human beings, and that mentally they can be hurt, because if you look at it, if a player says, my knee bothers me, my knee hurts, or my ankle hurts, what do? We everybody stops, like, hold on, stop, this person is injured, we got to get medical, you got to get MRI, we got to do this. Okay, but when somebody is mentally hurt, that person is just weak mentally. No, it's not. Okay, she needs to be treated, whether by coach or a professional. Like, it's okay, it's fine, and that's something that coaches need to understand, that you can get hurt out of the mentally, not just physically. And for myself, I've done lots of research and studied and used help of professionals how to deal with the players along the years. I mean, part of my master's degree was actually psychology of coaching, just psychology of soccer, to be more specific. And I will tell you a story. Bethany Bolser, coming from NAIA, getting signed for the national team. Getting signed for Seattle in the first game ever. We're in Houston, and it was the first game of the season, and it was the first time for her. In the 70th minute, she's supposed to go in for Darian Jenkins. I know she's not mentally ready for the game. I knew that she's not prepared. As much as she was preparing, she's not prepared for it. It's just different. You played NAIA, even though she did well, is a different level than playing at Final Four with Division One, and it's different level than playing for a long time on a professional team. And all of a sudden now she goes in and plays. All I said to her is, I didn't go in and say you need to do this and this and this and this and this and lined up things so she can to win the games for us. All I said for her is like, just go out there and I want you to have fun. Okay, well, I don't want you to worry about how you're gonna do what you're gonna do. Okay, because regardless of how you do, okay, you're not gonna lose the game for us, and I don't want you to worry about that. Okay, I want you to have fun and remember this and have good experience, because this moment will stick with you for the rest of your life. Okay, so for me, it was not okay. Now, what did you do? Why? Was she ready to go in? For me, is preparing Bethany Bolser for game number 2 and game number 3, because if she went in and didn't do well, regardless of what well is at that point, it was never going to prepare her for the rest of the season. For me, it was okay. Let's just get your feet wet. Okay, enjoy it. Okay, experience it, because for you, it's not this game. I want to see how you're going to do 3 games from now, 5 games from now. And that's part of the psychological approach, or preparing the player psychologically for the rest of the season. At least that was my approach. And that doesn't mean that was right or wrong. That's how I approach it.
I think it's a great perspective. It's recognizing that you're a steward in some way of these players and their pathway. You have a big impact on it. And one more question for me, and again, we really appreciate you being here. But if you were to look back again at your younger self, your young Macedonian self coaching, 10 and 11-year-old. And I think when I was coaching with the Red Stars in the morning and then driving back to Milwaukee and coaching youth soccer in the evening, it was quite a difference. I learned a lot in the contrast, if nothing else. But there was a lot similar too when you talk about just players in the game. So if you look back to your younger self and to young coaches now who are working with the future talent in this country, what would you say to them? What advice would you give to them, either personally, because you were that coach and now you're the coach that's leading the best team in the world, or you were working with those players, some of whom are now fortunate enough to play with you in the national team?
It's a good question. One thing when I look back, one thing that I always laugh at myself is sometimes how much I was wrapped up into winning and losing. Like for me, if I didn't win the game, we didn't play good enough. Or if I lost the game, we didn't play good enough. Or if we won the game, that was great. We played great. So then, as I grew more and more as a coach, I realized that there's a lot more than winning and losing, and realized that that's something that I should not be focused on. So that would be one thing, and then I guess another thing is just the focus on just the whole focus on holistic development as a player. For the younger players, I was talking a little bit about the psychological approach, and I was talking a little bit about the culture that I was trying to develop with these teams. How the developing the players as person is important. I think that's something that I would focus a little bit more now if I go and coaching youth soccer again.
Going to take one more break as we are spending the entire Breaking the Line, the ECNL podcast, with the head coach of the U.S. Women's National Team, celebrating his 1-year anniversary in that job. Vlatko Andonovski on Breaking the Line, the ECNL podcast, after this message.
Soccer.com is proud to partner with the ECNL to support the continued development of soccer in the U.S. at the highest levels. Visit Soccer.com today to check out our unmatched selection of soccer gear, expert advice, and stories of greatness at every level of the game. Nike is a proud sponsor of ECNL Girls. Nothing can stop what we can do together to bring positive change to our communities. You can't stop sport because you can't stop our voices. Follow Nike on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. Welcome back to Breaking the Line, the ECNL podcast. Once again, here's Dean Linke.
Welcome back to Breaking the Line, the ECNL podcast, where we're dedicating the entire show to the 1-year anniversary of Vlatko Andonovski, former youth coach, now getting it done as the head coach of the U.S. Women's National Team. Great questions, as always, from Christian Lavers, the president and CEO. I'm going to jump in here real quick because I love the women's game, longtime voice of the North Carolina Courage, and I love the way Julie Ertz plays. So, Vlatko, I can't let you go without asking you the best way to describe Julie Ertz, because I just think the way she plays the game is simply something special.
Best way to describe Julie Ertz. I mean, I don't know if you can describe Julie Ertz with few words because she does so many things very good or excellent that it's hard to describe her with a couple of words. I said after a couple of camps with the national team, I said I started realizing that Julie Ertz may be the most important player for this team. I always knew how good she is. Like, in the league, I've been in the league. I studied her and analyzed her and her play and watch her for the national team. But you don't really realize how important she is until you get to know her and until you get to know the team. She is the most important player on the team for so many things that she does, whether it's on the field, in possession of the ball, out of possession, or out of off the field, in trainings, anywhere she is, she's impactful with the way she does things and the way she carries herself, the way she talks, the way she walks. I mean, she's very impactful and very important for our team.
I feel like when you analyze the U.S. team, we might have 20 of the best attacking players in the world. And granted, there's some good ones in the world. However, gone are the days of growing Carla Overbecks and Christine Rampones and Kate Markgrafs and Becky Sauerbruns on trees. Defensively, talk about how important it is to find that next Carla Overbeck and all those other great names I just said.
We're talking how the national team has some great forwards, but even if you look at the defense, in the last 10 games, I can speak at least until since I got here, we've only got scored on 2 games. So 8 shutouts, still not a bad stat, right? So with this, I want to give credit to Lisa first as a goalkeeper and Ashton, all the goalkeepers, but also the defensive line. Becky captaining leading the defensive line with Abby Dolkemper and Kelly and Crystal. I think they're all doing great. Now, with that being said, there's definitely a new wave of players coming in. I mean, we have Tierna Davidson, 22. Naomi Girma is going to be in camp, and she's another center back that is still eligible for the under-20s. And Abby Dolkemper, I mean, she's a young player. Crystal is a young player. So we definitely have players that we're watching and evaluating going forward that we feel like have potential to become regulars on the national team.
Great answer. Just fill in the blank on this. Being the head coach of the U.S. women's national team means what to you, Vlatko?
It means the world. It's the best job in the world. It's the best challenge in the world. It is a challenge. We talked about taking over a team that won 2 World Cups. We said Jill was hired to win 1, but she went and made it even harder, won 2. So it made it even more challenging now. But if you're not wired to accept a challenge like that and embrace the challenge, it's probably not a job for you. But so that's what I love about it. It is a challenge. It's a challenge for me. It's a challenge for the coaching staff. It's a challenge for the players to win another one. And we're willing to accept it.
You are, as advertised, first-class coach. Thanks so much for being on Breaking the Line, the ECNL podcast.
Thank you very much. It's been an absolute pleasure being a part of it. Christian, like you said, we're going way, way back from competing in youth soccer, ECNL games to professional. So keep doing what you're doing for youth soccer. It's amazing, and thank you for having me.
Hey, we love having you. I don't think I'm going to have a chance to sit on the opposite bench of you anytime soon. So I'll just say good luck, and we're all cheering for you.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
So how about that? When you have a chance to spend time with the head coach of the U.S. women's national team, you dedicate the entire show, and that's exactly what we did with this edition of Breaking the Line, the ECNL podcast. We'll be back with you next on Wednesday, November 11th for another edition of Breaking the Line, the ECNL podcast. For Kristen Lavers, the president and CEO, Michael Joyce, all the great folks at ECNL, I'm Dean Linke. We'll see you in 2 weeks.
Thanks for listening to Breaking the Line, the ECNL podcast. For more information on the ECNL, visit us at www.theecnl.com. And if you have a suggestion for the show or a great idea for a guest, please email us at info@theecnl.com. Breaking the Line, the ECNL podcast is an ECNL production. ECNL, more than a league.